Oh, good. So, how's it going? So, how's it going? Okay, now, because it's very important that we're in that higher vibrational place, because when last you saw me, if you recall, we talked about something that was a little uncomfortable for a lot of folks. Well, maybe not uncomfortable, maybe that's not the right word. Thought-provoking. That may be a better phrase. Thought-provoking. And in that same kind of vein, we're going to continue that. So, just as an FYI, I picked this before Spike Lee even, before the whole thing at the Oscars. This was like before that. Spirit just said, this thing that we're talking about this month, integrity, like that's it. Doing the right thing. But what does that even mean? Like, we talk about having integrity. But if I were to ask you, don't answer, think to yourself. If I were to ask you, does God have integrity? Or is God the expression of integrity as a power? Because there's a difference between having it and being it. Because if we're saying, well, on Mondays, I have integrity. But by the middle of the week, maybe not so much, right? So you can have it on some days or in some moments, or not in others. But if it's what you are, then it doesn't change. So I would say that God doesn't have integrity, that God is the essence of all that integrity is. But still, what does that even mean? What does it even mean to have integrity? Now it's your turn to answer. Give me in your own words 2 or 3 things that, what is integrity to you? Honesty.
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Whoa, doing what you say you're going to do. Okay.
Authenticity.
Wholeness.
Authenticity. One more.
Wholeness. Wholeness.
Wholeness. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. And we'll have one more. Good intentions. Okay. So if we are going to be people who we're saying that integrity is an important thing for us, then it's important because what we're talking about is applied spirituality. Like I've said before, you can have the most amazing cookbook, but if you never gather the ingredients and fix a meal, then you starve to death looking at all of the amazing photos of all of the amazing dishes. So until you apply what the cookbook has there for you, it's empty, right? So how do we apply this thing called integrity? How do we apply authenticity? How do we apply wholeness? How do we apply being true to our word that if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it? Like, how do we apply that? Even when we don't want to. Because that's the important piece. Even when we don't want to. Because it's very easy. I don't know if you can see this. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The cat did it. Like, it's easy to do that. It's easy for us because we know we do it. Even if we're not really conscious of it, we lay blame on. I grew up in a house where there was alcohol and drug abuse and stuff. I grew up as an abused child. And for years, anything that I did that was a mess up, I blamed it on my background. It's because my brothers did drugs in front of me that I ... Well, it's because my mother hit me with a shoe. Oh, that was Monday. Hit me with a lamp. Wait a minute, that was Tuesday. Well, it was because, I don't know what she hit me with on Wednesday. It was because I got hit. That's why I did ... Well, it was because my father was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease when I was in elementary school that I ... Like, it was very easy. And my life was miserable until I got to the point where I said, enough. Enough with blaming. Because there's one thing to say what is a fact, something that happened. I grew up in a house where there was drugs and alcohol abuse, where in the neighborhood where there was sexual abuse, where there was verbal abuse, where, like, all of that stuff, yes, it existed. And yes, I experienced it. But the moment I say that the reason I took her wallet, or poked her, or stole a car, which I didn't, I'm just using these as examples. The moment I say that I did these things because of, then I'm changing the story to make it what I want it to make, what I want it to mean, what I need it to be, to now fuel what I want Monique to understand about me. I want her to have sympathy for me. Oh, poor Ray, I understand that if this hadn't happened to you, that you would be a better person. Oh, I want empathy and sympathy and tenderness and love. So I make up stories. We do that. Think about how many times we blame. Remember, there's a difference between being accountable and blame. Think of the number of times that we blame politicians for. We blame our parents, our siblings, we blame for. Rather than saying, what's the difference between what is a factual thing and what is part of what I'm making up? So that we can eventually get to the point where we are standing in integrity. And part of integrity is character. Doing the right thing when no one is looking. Doing the right thing. Dwight L. Moody said, character is what you do in the dark. Same concept. When there is no one watching. Meaning, name a store that you love. Like you really love this store. Like, oh, I love this store. Target. Mom's. And one more. Michael's. Okay. Suppose you could go in there today for 1 hour. Security cameras off. Employees not in the store, and you can go in and just take what you want. Just take it. It's still stealing, but you won't be penalized for it. You won't get arrested. Like no one's going to grab you, but it's still stealing. Would you do it? No one's watching you. You're being invited to do it. You're not going to get arrested, but it is still stealing. Do you do it? Right? That's integrity. Knowing that I could get away with it. Because see, the deeper thing, because on one level, yeah, that's great, that's applying it. But on a deeper level, integrity is, because in your mind, no one knows what's going on in your mind. But every time you call someone a name in your mind, are you acting in integrity? Every time you steal something in your mind, and that you could be stealing joy for all I care, but you are taking away from yourself or taking away from the world. Frank mentioned this thing of limitless, ever expansive, unconditional love. And anytime I say, well, Cody made me mad, so I'm going to withhold, then I am stealing love from, because I'm withholding it. I'm making it so that I am not able to expand and give from that. That's not being in integrity. So integrity is, being of good character is, doing what is right is saying, this is who I am, no matter what. No matter what. There was an old television show, not television show, old movie called Billy Jack. Anybody remember Billy Jack? So, for those of you who don't know Billy Jack, go find it. You gotta find it. There's this one scene, and I don't remember any other scenes particularly in the movie, but I remember Billy Jack was basically a protector of the Native American community, indigenous American community. And there was a scene where, reminiscent of the civil rights, where the Native children, teens, went to a diner and had flour and stuff poured on them. So Billy Jack shows up. And he goes up and the sheriff is there and the sheriff is like, so what you gonna do, right? And Billy Jack said, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my right foot and hit you on the left side of your cheek. And there's not a thing you're gonna do about it. So what? And the young me, I think I was 8, I was like, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to kick people in the head when they do things that are wrong to me or other people. I'm tired of being bullied. I'm tired of being abused. I want to be able to stand up for myself and for other people. And then I learned that the best way to do that is to simply stand in truth. Simply stand in truth. So there's this part in the Bible where, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane and, he's praying. He's like, oh, Lord, if this cup can pass before me, oh, but thy will be done, right? And then the soldiers come, and then Judas is like, it's him, right? And then, swords are drawn, and a soldier gets his ear cut off. Jesus puts his ear back on. And Jesus is like, are you going to live by the sword and therefore die by the sword? Like if you are going to move from this energy of vengeance, then are you walking in integrity? Is that what's right? Is that what's right? Musashi Miyamoto said, truth is not what you want it to be, it's what is. And you must bend to its power or live a lie. How many of us are living a lie because we will not allow that which is truth to be the truth of who and what we are? The lie being, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too tall, you're too short. You have this disability, you have that, you have this. Well, because of this, because of that, because of, well, you're just any of those lies that make us believe we are somehow less than worthy, less than deserving, less than divine, less than, Frank mentioned, unconditional love, less than someone who is worthy of being loved without conditions. That's a lie. And for years, it's the lie we have been living by. I guarantee that everyone in here has a story. Everyone has a story about some part of their lives, some part of their history, some part of their herstory, where there was some dejection, rejection, pain, or trauma that is still driving the boat. That is still in the driver's seat. And if it's not in the driver's seat, then it's in the co-pilot seat. And if it's not in the co-pilot seat, because then it's the backseat driver, but it's still telling us you're going too fast. Pump the brakes. You watch to turn 6. Just pull over. It's still dictating where we go, how we live. Rather than getting to the point where we say, I know what the truth is. Have you ever heard the truth? The truth shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. Free from what? Free from whatever that lie is. Free from whatever the illusion is. Free from it. So we're talking about this thing, doing what is right and integrity, etc. So let me share a little bit with you. So, because I love words. So right as a verb, to guide, to govern, to restore. Right as a noun, duty, obligation, law of the land, what someone deserves, truth, a legal entitlement. Right as an adjective, direct, to move in a straight line, to rule or to lead straight. Sidebar, Luke 3:5. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low, the crooked roads shall become straight, the rough ways smooth. mental note, followed by to put something into the right, to make right, to stretch out, sidebar. Then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. So he stretched it out, and it was completely restored. Oh, restored. Well, didn't we say the restoration? To guide, to govern, to restore. Oh, was completely restored, just as sound as the other. Matthew 12:13. Right is also rectitude, just, wise. So if we are going to talk about doing the right thing, living a life of integrity, then it means understanding these words, understanding this energy, and moving from that place in our everyday living, moving, and breathing. It can't just be a Sunday thing. It can't just be when I'm in this workshop thing. It can't be when I go to this seminar thing. It can't be when I watch this on live stream thing. It's got to be the moment I wake up thing. The while I'm fixing breakfast thing. The I'm stuck in traffic thing. The I just got a phone call that said my mother something thing. The I don't want to get out of bed thing. That it's time to go to bed and I'm going to bed with a sound mind that knows the truth thing. Because until we get to that point where we are really making that shift, these are just words. We're living in a great, fantastical, metaphysical crossword puzzle, where we're moving words and playing games, and that's about all it is. Or we make it about what this is about. Changing, shifting, evolving. If I ask you this mathematical word, integer, what does it mean?
Number.
What is that? It's a specific kind of number, though.
Whole number.
A whole number. So integer, let's follow my train. Integer, a whole number. A number that is not a fraction. A thing that is complete in itself. Integrate means what?
Come together.
Come together. So integer, integrate. To combine with one another so that they become a whole, united, unified, and harmonized thing. Integral.
The crux.
Necessary to make a whole complete. That which is essential or fundamental. What's the root word of all three of those words? What's the root word of What? So integrity is being whole. Integrity is being whole. It is not being fractioned, being broken by. Because every time we believe the lie, we are split. You fill in the blank. Man or woman cannot serve two masters, for he will love the one and hate the other. If you are fractioning yourself off and you are believing this, then that is the thing you are worshiping. I'm not worthy. Then that's the altar you're bowing to. The altar of I'm not worthy. You cannot live, move, and be and have your beingness as one who is whole when your attention, your consciousness is fractioned. You are not operating from an integer consciousness. You have not integrated the pain and forgiveness to become whole. You cannot walk in integrity if that's what you're doing. Anybody know what a samurai is? Samurai is a warrior. Do you know what the word samurai actually means, however?
Let's go with integrity.
Good answer. The word samurai actually comes from the word bushi. It means one who serves. Ultimately, the samurai is a servant. The samurai serves his Lord. Does what the Lord says. So if we're going to take this and make it metaphysical for us, the Lord is the higher part of your consciousness. It is that part of you that has power, dominion, and authority. And there is the part of you that serves that. But what if your Lord is the Lord of that fractioned, illusory lie? Is that who you're serving? Are you serving the lie? Meaning, there are times when Ray feels sad, lonely, depressed, whatever you want to call it. And Ray does what many do. Ray buys cake. Cupcakes. And ice cream. Yeah. That's what Ray does. Right? There is no and, Tracy. But that's what Ray does. Because comfort food, talked about before, comfort food isn't salad. Unless you put ice cream on. Comfort food is not salad. In the moment that is what I am doing, if I do it unconsciously and I'm not working through what is being invited to work through, then I am buying into the lie, and I am worshiping at the altar of somehow you are flawed and you are broken. Especially then when I now punish myself for eating what I know I shouldn't be eating. Because I'm not addressing what I should be addressing. Then I'm no longer operating from that which is right. Now, one of the samurais have 7 virtues, and the very first one, gi, is integrity. The samurai was to be someone who walked in integrity, meaning there was never a time when the samurai was not a samurai. The samurai, part of that being in wholeness was wherever the samurai went, the sword went with them. The sword was considered to be the soul of the samurai. And if we talk about the armor of God, then we know that the sword is truth. It's the word of God, truth. So even in our metaphysical, we understand. So when we speak, when we think, what are the words? Are the words that we are using in our own minds those that are in integrity? Or are we even within our own minds? Remember, what you do in the dark, what you do when and where no one else is the demonstration of what our character is. No one else is in your mind other than you. What is the degree of character, integrity that is going on in your own mind and in your own consciousness? A mind that is stretched by a new experience or concept can never go back to its old dimensions. Even though we try to go backwards sometimes, because we know that stretching and moving is uncomfortable at times. One of the things that, I'm not going to say any names, but a good friend of mine, a brother of mine, as Brian would say, a brother by another mother, he and I were talking about juicing and how if you want one single drink, it takes 4 hours to make a drink. Because you got to get the stuff and you got to... It's an endeavor to juice, and then you drink it and it's like... that was nasty. And so what do? We put the juicer away. We put the little ninja away. We put the vegetables back in the refrigerator, and we said, we'll cook those later. Because it's easier. It's easy. But that's what we do. All of us on some level do it. Tracy and I have started our workout routine 17 times this year. 17 times. We in the 3rd month, and it's 17 times. Because it's easy to start. But it takes a different kind of level of discipline and commitment to maintain. Anybody ever see this movie with George Burns? So the reason I'm mentioning this is because there's this one part where he actually shows up in the courtroom, right? And, he has to be sworn in. And what do you say when you're there? Do you swear to tell the whole truth? And nothing but the truth? And what does he say? So help me me. So help me me. Because he was God. So help me me. When do we say it is time for us to step forward? It is time for us to stretch our wings and fly to lands and realms of consciousness that we have not yet expanded to, that we have not been willing to. There's a gentleman, Howard Thurman, in his book, Jesus and the Disinherited, says, "No man can fool God. From him, nothing is hidden. For there is not a word in my tongue, but, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend up into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there." Wherever our consciousness is what we create. If we create a consciousness of heaven, Declaration of Principle number 4 says, we believe that heaven is within and we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. To the degree that we become conscious of love, we experience it. To the degree that we become conscious of joy, we experience it. To the degree that we become conscious of health and wonder and magic and passion and unity and oneness and life, then we experience it. But it is not an easy thing, because you have to give up everything that was to be what can be. Are we willing? You have to ask yourself individually, am I willing to let the me of yesterday die so that the true me can rise today? Am I willing to let the caterpillar that I was no longer be so that I can fly free with wings? Am I willing to change and transform completely, knowing that it may mean friends who no longer are friends? That it may mean family who already think I'm a cuckoo bird, now think I'm a dodo bird, and as far as they're concerned, I am extinct. Are we willing to make the sacrifice to say, do we understand the number of adolescents right now in New York City who were kicked out of their homes simply for being in the LGBTQ community? And their family disowned them for them being who they are. And so they're roaming the streets now as prostitutes, doing drugs, selling drugs, and homeless. Because their family, the first place we learn love, could not love them unconditionally. Do we understand that there are native indigenous women who have been murdered and are missing, and there is nothing being recorded or reported about it? Because the matter of how they vanished, well, is that native land? Well, that's run by the native government. Well, but that's federal land, so the federal should, but that's also, and because everybody's like, well, that's your thing, that's your thing, that's your thing, well, all hands off. And so nothing happens. When we look into the world and we see things going on, we cannot turn a blind eye and say, that's not mine to do. What I have learned is, if you see it, if you hear about it, it's yours to do. Now the question is, what is it for me to do? Every homeless person you see, can you not offer in your own mind, I'm not saying you have to go up to them, but can you not offer a prayer? Offer a knowing that I know that there is only one power and one presence, that which we call God, the omniscience, the omnipotence, the omnipresence of all that is, and it must be right now where they are. And so I, in knowing this, now call that forth to demonstrate in their lives in ways that they may not know that they can even grow and expand and become. We can't do that. When we hear about the Baltimore ceasefire, maybe we can't get there and show up and smudge and pray and do what is, but you heard about it. Can you not in your mind envision a world where guns no longer are needed. So what I'm saying is, part of being in integrity, part of being whole, is knowing that no, I am not my sister's keeper. I am my sister. I am not my brother's keeper. I am my brother. And until we get to the point of we are one in the body of God, then we are going to continue to having the femur fighting the ribs, the ear trying to kill the eye. Or we understand that it's one body, one consciousness, working together. Until we understand, Reverend Alice provided this, until we understand that what happens in the body, just because they're facts, doesn't mean we have to move and operate based upon them. We have to understand that this is a trinity. Spirit and mind and body working together as one complete whole. When we get to that point, then we have no choice but to change and transform the world. Ran across this a couple of days ago when reading about the stuff going on with the Methodist Church. Get up off your knees. Come out of your churches, your mosques, your temples. God can hear your prayers for peace, justice, and hope in this broken world just fine while you are out creating peace, working for justice, and giving hope to this broken world. When are we finally going to realize that humanity is the solution for inhumanity? When will we finally understand that we are all drops of the same ocean, hurting together, healing together, hoping together? Don't just pray for hands to heal the hurting. Pray with hands that are healing the hurting. Don't just pray for arms to help the helpless. Pray with arms that are helping the helpless. Don't just pray for feet to respond to need. Pray on that are responding to need. Don't just pray for someone to do something. Be someone who does something. Don't just pray for answers. Be the answers. Let's pray. Simply allowing this breath, this inhale, this exhale, as a demonstration that our bodies are intelligent and know what to do for this thing called respiration. We surrender to the breath. Surrendering without concern or worry about where the next breath is coming from. Surrendering without worry or concern with where this last breath went. Simply breathing. And so from this place of surrender, I speak what I know. That infinite I am, that power, that presence that we call God, Source, Spirit, is all there is. There is nothing that can exist outside of or separate from it. It is all there is. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with, and the Word was God. That Word, the divine Logos, that power and presence of creation itself, must therefore be present right here where I am. And if it is present where I am, then it must be present for everyone else in this room as well, everyone in this building, this town, and beyond. God is all there is. And if it is all there is, then I understand that the words of Holmes must ring true on a different level of consciousness when he said, God in me, as me, is me. So in this moment, I allow my mind to integrate that idea that what I am as the flesh and what I am as the spirit are one. They are not two. One. One body, one mind, one life. And I breathe. I breathe knowing that this one life, God's life, a life that is magnificent, a life that is healthy, a life that is well, a life that is abundant. That life is God's life. That life is my life as well, right here, right now. And this truth is true for all. I allow that which is the wholeness of all that God is, all that the universe is demonstrating, all that my mind right now is anchoring into, that one power, that one presence, to such a degree that I now accept the invitation to walk the walk as a higher, as an evolved, as a more integrated, a more just, a more authentic, a more honest, a more solution-driven, answer-driven. I am the answer to the prayer-driven being. I walk that walk. I walk the walk knowing that if it is mine to do, then it is mine to do because I am the one who is capable of doing it, or it would never show up before me. So I accept and I allow all that is mine to do to be what I do as I walk in integrity, as I allow that power that integrity is to walk through me, to walk as me. And so in gratitude, I place this into the law that said yes, is saying yes, and will continue to say yes. Because before we gather, this prayer, this word, this message, this gathering of music and family was already preordained as right, as holy, as sacred. And so I anchor in that knowing that nothing can change that. That when we leave this place, that which we are as divine and holy and good people, filled with joy and love, that which we are goes with us. For we can never be separated from that which God is. So I surrender it knowing it is done. And together we affirm, we declare, we decree that this is the truth and only the truth. So help us, by saying, and so it is. Amen.